So, I'm getting whiplash. Serious whiplash. I like the going back and forth with the time travel situation, but this is a little bit much. This is whiplash. This is total 100% whiplash. So hey, welcome to the Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy man stuff going on here. And I've got to fix this. Wait a second. So, once again, we use my doohickey. I do not know what it's called. I call it a doohickey. And I'm using my little thingy. And if I could figure out how to do this, I would, come on. Times up. I'm gonna put the picture up, but it doesn't work. There you can see it. Times Perilous Desire. And, my little stand here. I've got serious whiplash. Are you coming over here? Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. I can't find you. Alright, so there are two doors in this house. And the door closest to the front door, if you use this door to go in the living room, it's just the modern day living room. But if you go in the back door, or the door furthest to the back of the house, that also goes into the living room, you will go into 1810. And Natasha uses this like a revolving door. And, so these are my notes. Matthew and Natasha are still navigating their relationship. Matthew would like to put a ring on it, and Natasha is fine just the way it is. Friends with benefits situation here. Yes, she loves him. Yes, she knows he loves her. But she doesn't believe it would be practical for them to get married in the past, and she doesn't believe it's capable of getting married in the present, because you might need a little thing called ID and a driver's license and some kind of birth certificate and death certificate, and you might have to prove you're a person in 2026. And she might have to have some kind of familial history in 1810. Are we going to town? We're going to town. So, Matthew is a little hurt by that. A little more than a little hurt by that. He gets it, but he's still hurt. He still wants to put a ring on it. And she is, Lucy, because Natasha is basing this on the fact that Luke and Cassie from the previous series, are doing quite well. And we're getting to see a little bit more of Luke and Cassie as the series goes on. However, when Luke and Cassie go in the back to the past, they spend like a week there. And apparently they're not taking their kids, because they leave their kids with babysitters. So, I mean, if he took his kids, then his kids would be heirs to his estates. And he set his brother, when the series ended, he set his brother up as his heir. And his brother's kids will be there, take it over. And, and besides the fact that the kids were born in 2026 or whatever year the book was, they were born in hospitals. They were born where Casey could get medical attention. So the kids have got modern day stuff. So, yes, ma'am. Can I help you? So Natasha doesn't feel that it's necessary, or they're even that option is even open to them, but it still hurts Matthew. And Tash goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and not much time in the present day has passed. She can go back she goes back for a couple hours. And when she goes back to 1810, she sits down and has lunch and does investigating and looks into stuff and socializes and stuff like that. She comes back to the future. She comes back to the future and changes the clothes and takes a shower, does this, and go checks on this and makes these phone calls, does blah, 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 and then she goes back to bed and we sit down and we have some coffee or tea and have a luncheon. And then she goes back to the future. We gotta take a shower. Blah, 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 blah. And I gotta check on this project, and I gotta check on that, and I gotta do this paperwork, and I gotta do this, and I gotta take a shower, and I gotta get the medicine and all that kind of stuff. And then she goes back to 1810, and we get to sit down. We go to the theater. We see a play. We go for a horse ride. And then she goes back to the future. And I gotta do paperwork, and I gotta do the bills, and I gotta meet with this person about this project, and I gotta meet with Vic about this project, and we gotta get going because she's a property. She buys properties, renovates the property, then leases them or rents them or sell them. And so so her main source of income her entire life is in the present. Her business, her bills, her financial status, her house, her friends, etc. Her love life is in 1810. And she's spending more and more time in 1810. And when she goes to 1810 and she plays dress up and changes her clothes and goes back, and like I said, they go horseback riding and they do socializing and they did go to the theater in this book, and they're hanging out with all these different people. And then of course she goes to the future and it's like an afterthought. The future is an afterthought to Natasha almost. If that's what it feels like to me. That it's like, oh yeah, I forgot I have to go do this stuff here. And then I'll be back later. So apparently, this guy was hit over the head. He borrowed Toby's Natasha is our lead, and Matthew is the estate manager for this Earl, and Toby is the Earl's heir. And a whole bunch of his friends are in town, maybe associates is a better term, and one of them borrowed his coat to save going upstairs to get his personal one, and because he was wearing Toby's coat, he was mistaken for Toby, and he was hit over the head. The guy wanted to kill him because it was later revealed, it won't be revealed to the end of the book, although you get the impression right away because they do their clues and stuff like that, that the guy is trying to stop Eleanor from marrying Toby. Eleanor and Toby fell in love, and he's trying to prevent this marriage by all means possible. He's setting up these little scandals here and there. He's implying Toby in this stuff. He's implying Eleanor in this stuff. He's doing all this stuff. And then we have but the guy lives. Arnold lives. And then there's an actual murder, and we've got to have the inquest, and all that kind of stuff goes on. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Can I help you? Can I finish my vid and then we'll talk? So they do the investigation. They hang out with Jack. Jack is the cook. He's also a tenant. He's also revealed that he also has his own door into the past. However, the door in the basement is a little quicker. So, if you go through it, you're like hurled through it at a greater force. So Natasha goes through and she throws a spoon, and it hits Jack, and it's really heavy, and it leaves a mark, even though it was just a little spoon. So they've decided, don't use your door, because when he opens it, some points it's his closet, his pantry, and then when he opens it again, it's a pantry from 1810. So it's a whole different thing. So they investigate that, and then they do lots of meals with Jack. They have lots of meals in this book. Lots of investigating, trying to figure out who's trying to stop Toby and Eleanor's marriage and why. And there are a couple of silly moments with a picture book and a sexual aid, and there's all this kind of stuff going on here. And like I said, the 1810 stuff is a slow walk in the park. We take our time and we discuss the case, and we discuss the individuals, and we do the socialization, and we do the theater, and we go for the horse ride, and all this other stuff happens, and we have a nice leisurely afternoon in 1810, blah blah blah. But then Casey goes back to the future. Well, I got some paperwork to do. I got a shower to do. I got to do this business stuff. I got to do. And then it's like, oh, let's go back to 1810. Let's have dinner. Let's sit down, have a discussion. I've got whiplash. The POV didn't change as much as the previous book, but it did change mid-chapter, and it took a minute to like, oh, this is Matthew now. Matthew does like her indoor plumbing. He does like her Tylenol. He does like modern clothing. He gives her his coinage, his real coinage from 1810, and she happily goes to the exchange and gets a couple of £100 for his like nickels, but his nickels are gold. And they go out shopping and buy him clothes and all this kind of stuff. So the murder mystery gets solved. We don't dwell too much on the relationship angst. But we do spend a lot of time trying to figure out who the suspect is and why this person is trying to sabotage Eleanor's wedding and all this other kind of stuff. Now, the next book I have a feeling is going to take place more in the present day, because at the end of this book it ends with Cassie, Luke, and Matthew and Natasha having a lunch, and Natasha gets a phone call, and that's your one clue that it's in modern times, although Cassie has a modern day stroller, so that's also a hint that it's in modern times. But she gets a hint that there was a skeleton found on her property. So, and it's a skeleton from 1810, so they got to go investigate, and that's where the story ends. So we'll see what happens there. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the next one right away. I feel like I need a book. I need a physical book. I'm a little over my doohickey there. I would like to hold a real book. I just would. We'll see what happens. If you could check out Friday's If Thens, if you like this author, you might like that author. Star Trek Next Generation recaps, Star Trek Voyager recaps, J.D. Robb character spoilerizations, and or go watch the D. Louise book series in depth reviews of the actual books. But this year we're doing character spoilerizations. Sunday is Unboxing Day, and Monday is Flashback Monday, and of course my daily book reviews. Go have a good one.